Okay, starting again. So welcome to 2D20 Fallout Pacific Northwest. This is going to be a bi-weekly Fallout game using Modiphius's 2D20 mechanics. At some point later, we might expand this to include panels with game industry professionals and whatever. But for right now, hey, we're going with the game. Also, you'll notice we're all male, we're all white. I apologize that we can't check the diversity box, but I put out the all call, and this is who showed up. We would love to have...
I'm Jewish.
Also, we have 2 boxes knocked off.
Yes, there is some diversity here. It's just not obvious. At any rate, if the right players come along, we'll be happy to add them. Aside from that, thank you goes out to Cyberpunk Uncensored for being totally awesome, and I also won a copy of the Fallout rules from them on one of their streams, so that was really neat. Also, thank you to James Dawsey with Vigilance Press, who owns Nuclear Sunset Pacific Northwest. I actually wrote that about 5 years ago, and we're using that as a source for material for the game. In addition to that, we would like to thank Modiphius Entertainment and Bethesda for making this all possible. And now, the intro. Once again, 4 minutes. Mics are hot.
War never changes. From the dawn of human civilization, mankind touted itself as superior to the other animals. While philosophers proposed shining egalitarian civilizations and provided roadmaps to lead us there, human greed, corruption, and intolerance left a legacy that would continually drench the city streets in blood. But war never changes. In the 21st century, the United States struggled to maintain its supremacy amid an overpopulated Earth. Ignorance, cultural intolerance, and religious divides set man against man in every corner of the globe, giving rise to a growing movement of hyper-capitalist fascism. Energy became the most valued commodity. Petroleum and uranium were worth more than human lives. To remain the most powerful of nations, China invaded Alaska and the U.S. annexed Canada. This mad clamoring for resources would reach a crescendo in 2077, when World War returned and nuclear devastation reduced the old world to cinders. A few were able to reach the relative safety of the large underground vaults. Your family was part of that group that entered Vault 2. For 200 years, the old ways have been preserved underground in one of mankind's last sanctuaries, completely isolated from the rest of the world. But recent events have reignited old struggles. Life in the vault is about to change.
And we're back. All right, so before we get started, first of all, I'd like to point out the fact that Glenn will be joining us in future streams. He didn't quite make the timetable for this one, so we look forward to him joining us next time. Let's go ahead and get started with the introductions. Basically, just tell us who you are, tell us a little bit about your character, what you do for a living if you want to, and what interests you have in Fallout, or role-playing, or whatever else seems relevant. Starting with Eric.
Hi, Eric Leonard. I currently live in a national park in West Texas, and that's part of what I do for a living. I've known Darren almost most of my life, and he does cool stuff, and I like to be along for the ride.
Cool. So we had a little conversation when we did our session 0, which we did not stream, where you talked a little about what your interest is in the post-apocalyptic genre. I think that's an interesting story, and people would like to hear that.
Well, so I'm in a big traditional national park now, but my last park, for 5 years, I was the superintendent of one of the greatest American national parks, a little place in western South Dakota called Minuteman Missile National Historic Site that preserves a fully intact launch control center and missile silo of the early Cold War nuclear Minuteman missile system. And so there's a silo in western South Dakota that the public can walk up to. There's a glass over the top of the launch tube, and you can look down at a 60-foot missile looking at you. And so for 5 years, my job was to figure out how to preserve that, how to interpret that with the public. And the visitor center exhibits at the end, there was a little book that it was like, what do you think? How do you feel? And the number of Fallout references in that book was staggering. I mean, not every day, but often. War never changes. And a friend of mine had to explain that to me, but then I got it. And that's part of how I've come to Fallout and post-apocalyptic milieu.
All right, Capricious Nature says, "Oh, I've been there. That place is cool AF."
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I stood underneath the missile, which most people don't get to do. So yeah, it's super cool.
Well, plus there's the fact that we're Gen X, so we lived through the last part of the Cold War. We weren't sure we were ever even going to be alive at this point.
Yes.
All right, moving on to Andy.
Hi there, I'm Andy. I've been playing a tabletop game since I was probably about early high school. I'm usually the baby of the group, as everybody can always tell. The character I'll be playing is Rambo 2, who is the son of a exiled, for lack of a better term, and assumed dead chemist in Vault 2, which is a vault that is found just beneath Spokane City. I'm very excited for this. I love Fallout. I've been playing it forever and ever. It got me out of a really tough part of my life, and I've definitely sunk more hours into it than I think I have just about anything else in my life. So I'm completely prepped. I'm ready. I think this is going to be great.
Oh, actually, Eric, we forgot to ask you about your character.
I just realized that. So, I think we'll still learn. I think there's a lot to learn about my character, but my character is a survivor, from a North Idaho retreat, not a vault, but some kind of survivalist commune populated by academics. So, someone who thinks they know a lot about the world, and maybe they did or do. We'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
And his name is Regis Mossette.
And as you also mentioned in session 0, you're kind of drawing a little bit of inspiration for this character from the novel A Canticle for Leibowitz.
Yes.
Which I actually got to read as part of my science fiction literature class in college. So I honestly don't remember much about it other than the fact that it was about a group of monks who were trying to preserve the past world after the apocalypse.
I heartily endorse it. It's a great book. It was written by a Catholic author pre-Vatican II, so it's got lots of Latin. So it's nice. If you search on the internet, there are some really good reading guides to go along with the book. It's trippy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, moving on to John.
Writing down some character notes. Hi, everybody. My name is John Schmidt. Start with my character. I am playing Miyamoto Lamore. It's basically a Wild West samurai, I guess you would say. He grew up, in a situation where he kind of firsthand witnessed the post-war violence and decided to join the samurai and become, stronger and maybe stand against that. Didn't like kind of what they were doing and joined the Rangers instead, and is now kind of a samurai lawman. As for myself, I've, much like the others in this group, been a longtime fan of Fallout. I have a shrine, a basement room. It's a shrine, a museum maybe to Fallout. And for a living, I work at a factory making cars for you fine folk. And I am currently in the process of writing a role-playing game called Hard Rock Apocalypse, which of all things was inspired by my love of hard rock music and Fallout. So that's me. Nice to meet you all.
All right, very cool. So a little bit about myself. I am Darren Drader. I've been a role-playing game designer professionally for 20 years. Actually 21 years now. Started out doing some work with WotC. I worked on the Book of Exalted Deeds, did some Forgotten Realms. Then I started working with other publishers, including Paizo, Legendary Games, Epidemic Games, Bastion Press, etc., etc., etc. So I have actually written some post-apocalyptic stuff for role-playing. I think I've already mentioned Nuclear Sunset, Pacific Northwest, which is a 50-page supplement that was actually designed to go with the Mutant Future game. And I kind of had in the back of my mind when I was writing it that, hey, someday, one of these days, maybe I'll get around to using this as something in connection with Fallout. Not officially. Obviously, none of this is canon, but nobody cares. Also, I worked on D20 Apocalypse for D20 Modern. And there have been a few other little projects here and there. As far as Fallout goes, I started with Fallout when the original game came out. I was working at Future Shop, which, if you're not familiar with it, is kind of like a Best Buy, or at least it was. Originally, it was out of Canada, and I was selling computers, and I happened to see this game on the shelf one day called Fallout. Picked it up, looked at it. Wow, that's pretty cool. Took it home, blew me away. I mean, I had never played Gamma World. I'd never played Wasteland. This is my first exposure to the post-apocalyptic genre, and it's really, I loved it, and it's really stuck with me. So That's where I started. I've at least played some of every Fallout game that's come out after that, other than Tactics. I haven't finished them all. I've finished 3, Fallout 3. We'll finish 4 at some point in the near future. So yeah, that's me. I will be the game master, and I think we're ready to get started.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to assume that that Mossette and why am I drawing a blank on your name? The other not vault dweller in the group.
Oh, Musashi.
Musashi. Okay. I'm going to assume that Mossette and Musashi already know each other and are in the ruins of Spokane.
Okay.
And because of that, you are wearing hazmat suits already.
Okay.
This will become important later on. Getting back to the vault. So you've been Rambo, who took your name from a movie poster from the 1980s.
Yes,
Yeah.
handsome guy.
Now you're the son of an engineer, correct?
Yes, indeed.
And you spend probably quite a bit of time in the probably in or around the reactor, because that's where most of the engineering takes place.
Exactly.
Okay.
Almost 2 months.
All right. Well, things start out as any other day would. You get up, you go, you hang out at the reactor. Along the way, people are grumbling about this or that. Usually it's the food or, whatever. But, you're in Vault 2. Vault 2 is under Spokane. It has only been opened one time since, in the past 200 years. And the reason for that was because of the little social experiment that Vault Tech was running in your vault. The experiment being that they wanted to try some capitalist hijinks. They had separated people out into various class strata, and the people in the middle and at the bottom were forced to work for their living quarters and their food and everything else, and pay their earnings upward to the upper crust, who then had complete ability to jack the rates on them if they wanted to, which they did. So after about 170 years of this, of the costs of living going up and the income from their work going down continually, there was a violent uprising, and those people were rounded up, not killed, but exiled to the surface. That's the last you heard of them. That was about 25 years ago.
Perfect.
Currently, let's see here. So the overseer of Vault 2 is an African-American male named Kenneth Haddon. He is known as being fair, intelligent, and well-spoken. He was one of the ones who, when he was much younger, rose up to end the Vault experiment. So he is well regarded by the rest of the Vault. At any rate, you're hanging out near the reactor when you start hearing, and the reactor is actually buried pretty deep in this vault, but you start hearing alarm sounds. Like, you've never heard them actually sound before. So you've got this so that's going, and you think you feel a slight a tremor in the floor or a rumble.
What do I see everybody around me doing?
Right now, there's not too many people down there with you. There's only about 2 or 3. You guys are all kind of looking at each other like, what is going on? A short time later, you start hearing the sound of, it sounds like popping. You know, pop, 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 pop. And then you hear something sounding a little bit more of, maybe a machine gun.
Oh.
So yeah. Any thoughts?
Well, immediately, I think Rambo's going to try to find a place away from everybody else if he thinks that there's shooting going on.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe hiding behind one of the big old consoles that's by this reactor.
Okay. The consoles are kind of pushed up against the walls, but the reactor itself is a fairly large, piece of machinery, and you might be able to kind of hide behind it or between that and the wall if you'd like to.
Yeah, Rambo's going to actually slip between that and the wall.
Okay.
Make himself possible.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get a roll out of you. We're going to go for agility and sneak.
Awesome.
And we're only looking for one success here.
Perfect. Cool. Got a 6 agility and a 3 sneak.
Okay, so you need to roll under a 9.
It looks like I got a 9 even.
Are you actually logged in? Okay, it looks like I need to refresh. Give me 1 second.
Yes.
There's everybody. Okay. So let's see here. Why am I not seeing the 9? Oh, there it is. Okay, so that looks like it is a success.
Excellent.
All right. As you're sitting here, hidden away, the other 3 guys are hanging out here. They make themselves pretty scarce. You're not sure if they run off to their chambers or if they know some other hiding places, but you don't see anybody else. However, it sounds like this sound, this noise is getting closer and closer. You start hearing it. So obviously, whatever's going on, it's getting deeper and deeper into the vault. The next thing...
The reactor room in specific?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Does it seem like it's coming closer to the reactor room in particular?
Quite possibly.
Okay.
All right. A short time later, you see a bunch of people wearing blue suits with the number 2 written on it, fellow vault dwellers, falling back into the reactor room. And they say, all right, we don't know what they want, but we got to stop them. It's, we just got to stop this. By the way, the person in charge of security is a 30-year-old woman named Cindy Dobbs. Well liked, but she's down here right now with her security team. They've got the guns out, and the sound of fighting is definitely moving in this direction. Also, in the background, behind the sound of gunshots, all of a sudden you're hearing the sound like mechanized movement, like chung 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 chung, and it's definitely moving closer. Going to assume you want to stay hidden. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next thing you know, that whole open area erupts in gunfire. You see, you can tell there's bullets ricocheting all over the room. Security team is shooting their guns, kind of up the stairs. And the next thing you know, you see a couple of humans, Mohawk, Mohawks, leather outfits. They've got their own guns. You see a dude who's about 8 feet tall and green.
Excellent.
And he comes charging in, and he's got the big board with a nail driven through it, more of a spike driven through it. And there's probably more people behind him, you think. But the next thing you know, the room is just engulfed in combat. It just turns into a flurry of fighting. And very shortly after that, the security team is down. Injured, dead, you're not sure. You're the only person in there from the vault in this room. Next thing you know, that sound of like mechanized movement comes walking down the stairs. There's a big, heavy ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk as it gets closer. And then you see somebody in what you recognize from your pre-war readings as wearing power armor. You've never seen anybody in power armor before. This guy, I mean, he's standing about as tall as the green guy, completely encased in metal. And I mean, the minute you see him, it's like you're fearful.
Yeah. Immediately, eyes wide, pressed against the reactor.
So anyway, you're hiding, and you see these guys. Somebody else comes in, and they're wearing a robe and a hood, and the hood is drawn. But they go up to one of the control panels, and they're pressing buttons, and then they hit a switch, and then you hear the reactor go choo 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 choo, powers down. Then the guy in the power armor goes, opens up the reactor core, grabs a big metal ball about this big, and starts heading back up the stairs.
Is everybody else?
I'm sorry, what?
Is everybody else following?
Yes. At this point, the emergency lights are on, so everything is bathed in kind of a reddish glow. And a short time later, I mean, you hear a few more bangs and crashes and whatever. You're not sure exactly what it is. But then you kind of feel the ground kind of vibrate again. And somebody gets on the intercom and says, "The intruders have left. All clear." What do you want to do?
All right. Rambo's going to squeeze himself out from that area, and almost immediately, I think he's going to try to find that overseer's quarters, or at least wherever the overseer may be.
Okay. On your way out of the room, you do happen to notice that security chief, she didn't make it. She's well, at least you don't think she's gonna make it. She's sitting there. She's got a couple of bullet holes in her. One that's kind of hit her in the skull. She looks at you and she says, "Take my gun. Defend yourself."
He's absolutely terrified, but he does grab that gun.
Okay. All right. Shortly after she does that, then she falls unconscious, most likely for the last time. All right. What would you like to do?
I am going to continue my way over to wherever the overseer's quarters are.
Mm-hmm.
Gun pretty much held up against my chest. as if I were to lose it if I were to let it go.
Mm-hmm. All right. The overseer pretty much lives at the top of the whole thing, very close to the main vault door. And there's a lot of chaos in the hallways on your way up there, but you do eventually make your way there. And he is outside of his quarters. He's standing in the hallway. He's surrounded by a bunch of people who are just absolutely terrified. Some of them have some blood on them. You notice along the way there's bodies littering the floor. I mean, you guys lost a significant number of people right here.
I think Rambo's trying to make his way to the front of that crowd, definitely looking around in awe. It's horrifying. I don't think he's ever seen anything like this before.
Mm-hmm. What would you like to do?
I'm going to go straight up to Kenneth and say, Cindy Dobbs is dead.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yes, it's terrible. I was in the reaction. I was doing what I was supposed to do. I was doing everything as normal. And then there was an alarm, and now she's dead. And she gave me this gun, but I don't even know how to... I don't even know what to do. I don't know. What are we doing?
You're in part of the engineering team, right?
Yes.
What happened to our power?
He kind of looks a little bit ashamed and embarrassed, as if he should have done something. The core is gone. Easy as that.
The core is gone.
It's gone. Yes.
Then we're dead.
We're dead. We can't be dead.
We've got a rather significant problem on our hands. Without the core, I mean, emergency power will keep things going for a few days, but without the power, we have no water purification. We won't be able to cook, which makes just basic survival is impossible. Air purification. Every system that we rely on in this vault is dependent upon power. And without that core, that's it.
He pauses. Well, then why don't we get it back? Evidently they got in, the doors are open somehow, or at least can be reopened. We can't just leave it here. There's children here.
Well, from the sounds of it, our security team is either shot up or dead. How do you think you'd be able to handle yourself outside the vault?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm an engineer.
Yes, you're an engineer, which is exactly what we would need to find this thing and bring it back and get everything working again.
I couldn't even guarantee that I'd live, that I could come back. Although I guess it doesn't matter. He definitely seems a little bit lost on this, like he's not fully ready to go. On my own?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be here trying to figure out some way to survive. I'm not sure how this is going to work. To be honest with you, I don't even know if we can survive out there. I mean, we're under the ruins of Spokane. Fairchild Air Force Base was a target during the war, which meant that a good chunk of Spokane was heavily irradiated. It might still be. Our radiation sensors that we had planted throughout Spokane failed about 20 years into this. It's been about 180 years since that happened, but that doesn't mean that it's safe to be out there. And of course, Vault-Tec, in its infinite wisdom, didn't bother giving us any Rad-X or any other anti-radiation drugs.
You can make drugs, mind you.
Sure.
Anyway.
But we need to have ingredients to make those drugs.
Because that's true. I can do it. I can do it. I will do it.
Very good. Get yourself fitted for a pit boy. I'm sure you'll need it. And get ready and good luck. Okay, moving to you guys who are outside of the vault. You guys are in your you guys have your hazmat suits under any armor that you might be wearing. You're walking along in the ruins of Spokane, and I assume that I assume that Mossette is looking for artifacts that might be of interest. Correct?
Yes.
And I assume that
Musashi.
Musashi. I'm going to keep getting that name wrong. I apologize for that. I assume that Musashi is there as his escort.
Yeah, and you can refer to him as the samurai if that's easier. That's fine by me.
The samurai, the lawman.
Yeah.
The lawman samurai. All right, so you guys are picking through the downtown area, and you notice that there is a pretty good amount of smoke coming from approximately 2 miles away. It's a rather sudden development.
How do you pronounce your character's name again? It starts with an M as well. It's
Mossette.
How do you spell that? I want to write that down so I can have that.
Mossett.
Okay, Mossette. Okay, Mossette. All right. Yeah, Musashi looks at Mossette and says, "You see that over there? That can't be any good. You coming?
Shall we investigate, samurai?
You know me." He starts hiking that way.
All right. Here we go.
So one thing I'd like to point out is that both samurai and lawmen are actually part of the Pacific Northwest setting. They're organizations, and I believe that your character originally was a samurai and then later kind of renounced being a samurai to join the lawmen instead, or the marshals.
They weren't achieving the goals that he had in mind.
Makes sense. Okay, so you guys head out toward the source of the smoke, and as you get closer, like I said, you're kind of picking your way through the downtown area, getting closer and closer. And
there's still skyscrapers and whatnot. As far as are there standing structures that are 3, 4, 5 stories or higher?
There are. Now, if you're not overly familiar with Spokane, as far as
not really, even though I grew up there near Washington.
Yes, we all have a connection to Washington, which is kind of cool. I live here. Eric is from here. You're from here. Andy is you're in Idaho, right?
I'm in Pullman. I'm in Washington.
Okay, so yes, we all have a connection to Pacific Northwest. Anyway, Spokane actually doesn't have a lot of skyscrapers. They have a couple of tall buildings, but most of the structures are actually fairly low. So
last time I was there, I was 8, I think. So it's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
There was a crazy clock tower downtown.
I just remember the World's Fair kind of setup from.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the only thing. We would pass through Spokane on the way to my church's summer camp that was out in that direction. So I never really. I think I went one time and I begged my parents to take me to a Barnes and Nobles or something that was in a mall. I don't even know what the name of the mall might have been, but anyway, all my experience was Seattle. So, but Spokane is not a real tall city then. Okay. So there may be some standing structures, but they're not anything like you would expect from downtown Seattle
it's
or
not gonna be
Chicago.
a Seattle or a New York or anything like that.
Okay. How far off is the smoke?
Interesting thing, though. He just mentioned the crazy clock tower. You can see the crazy clock tower. You can see that the smoke. You can see now that the smoke is coming from the clock tower.
I'm now looking up this clock tower.
It's a sandstone
near the
clock tower.
river.
It stands about 95 feet tall, I believe. About 12 feet to a side, and that's it. Yes.
Oh.
Okay, for those of you viewing, didn't know. Okay.
It is located in what used to be Riverfront Park. And
So that's still standing, and that's kind of where the smoke's coming from.
yes. Now, back in the pre-war days, there were a number of... Riverfront Park is actually located on a small island in Spokane River. And there used to be a number of bridges going, to and from the island. Only the largest of those bridges still stands. And that one heads kind of east-west on the eastern portion of the island.
So is our best route to head to that bridge to get onto the island?
If you're interested in checking it out, most likely yes.
Well, Samurai, shall we go?
He kind of nods his head. He's kind of fairly stoic. Doesn't have a lot to say. Kind of nods his head. Just scouting the area. How far off are we again from this tower and the smoke and stuff? Is it like hundreds of feet, like a quarter of a mile,
From where you're at right now, you've made your way a little bit closer. So I would say that right now you're probably about a half mile off.
Okay.
Which really doesn't take that much time to cover that kind of ground.
Yeah, wishing I had binoculars at this point, but
other than the fact that the way is actually kind of blocked by all kinds of debris littering what used to be the streets. But
so I've yet to make a roll for this game, let alone D20 or on D20. How do I just to get a roll in so I can learn this and also fitting the narrative? I'd like to kind of do trying to see if he can tell what's going on from this distance. If there's anything coming out, if there's a marching army around this smoke, if there's fire where the smoke is, just to the best of his ability, kind of get a better understanding of what's coming.
All right. What we'll want is a perception plus. We'll go with survival.
Okay, so how do I go?
So what you do?
How do I roll?
You take your perception. You take your survival.
So do I go to my character sheet to do that, or?
If you're looking at your character sheet, that'll tell you what those scores are.
Okay. Let me see real quick. Perception is a 6, and survival is a 3, so 9.
Okay, so you got a 9. What you want to do is you want to roll 2d20.
Okay, so do I go to the dice roller and okay, so it says last 10 rolls 2d20. Do I just hit reroll on that? Or how do I apologize, so. I've not done this before. Okay.
Usually what I do is I go to the advanced roll and it'll say roll 1, you'll want to change it to 2, and then d20 and then hit roll.
Okay. And I'm going to do that.
So let's just, to be clear, what information are you trying to get?
I'd just like to see if there's anything that might have been an obvious source of the smoke. In other words, what I'm looking for is to see if there's any war bands or raider parties, anything that because I've been out here in the waste. I've seen the violence. I've seen smoke on the horizon, and I know what that means. I'm trying to see
what you're looking for. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 success is what you're looking for. Go ahead and make a roll.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna find out if I did this right.
Okay. You got a 9, so you actually got 2 successes, and that 2 I think might be a crit. Let me check something. Said I wasn't going to reference the rules during the stream, but I'm still trying to get the hang of all this.
It's inevitable, Aaron.
What's that?
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Okay, I see the outcome. I got a 2 and a 9. Right? Is that the 2 different dice rolls? Cool.
Okay, was that a tag skill you used?
No.
Okay. Okay, I'm just trying to determine whether or not that generated an action point. On a 1, I know for sure it would. On a 2, it might. Actually, we're just getting started. Go ahead and give yourself an action point. So to do this, it's going to be action points are kept track of by the party. I am going to appoint Andy to keep track of action points.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So I have a question for anybody who's actually watching the feed. I'm looking at my Twitch studio and everything seems to be frozen up. Are we frozen by any chance?
On my side, yeah, looks like we're frozen.
Uh-oh, that's not good. How do I fix this? I honestly have no idea how to fix this. Is the audio at least coming through?
Yes, it is indeed.
Okay. All right. Well, the first question is, why are we frozen? Looks like we are not frozen in Discord, so that's working.
Capricious Nature says minimize and then maximize the window.
Okay, actually, looks like we're back.
Excellent.
All right.
Woot.
Very cool. Okay, so, yeah, you got 2 successes. You scored an action point on that, and you do notice off in the distance. You can't tell how many there are. You can't tell who they are, but there's definitely some individuals who are leaving the area.
Ooh. Okay.
Mm.
So we need to be cautious, Mossette. It looks like it's what I thought it was. There's been an attack.
So the people leaving the area, can we see anything about them, or or determine anything about their intentions or what they're carrying?
Well, you can't. You're having a hard time getting a good look at them. From where you're at, you can just see they look like figures. They're just, you can tell that they might be wearing like leather. You think you see a mohawk. You think that you hear the clanking of something large and mechanical. So, yeah, that's about all you can really tell. You can't tell how many they are.
Enough to know we need to be cautious,
and
for sure.
I'd also like to point out one other thing. You've got some experience in the Wasteland. Despite the fact that power armor was a thing before the war, it's really not at all in any way, shape, or form common in the Pacific Northwest. Like you've heard of power armor because you've run across some books and stuff, but you've literally never seen a person wearing power armor in your life.
So this is a first for all of us then that have seen this.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that makes me a little uncomfortable.
Clearly, I need to stop and take some notes.
There could be people that need our help. We've got to hurry. So I pick up the pace and start not full sprint running, but I'm definitely jogging at this point, trying to save my stamina, but get there in a hurry.
Okay. The smoke seems to be thinning out, and we're going to jump back to Rambo. Rambo, you've been fitted with a Pip-Boy. You have a gun. You have your Vault 2 uniform. And you're standing in front of the vault door. The vault overseer is there next to you and says, "Best of luck. I don't envy what you have to deal with out there. But, you know, since we have lost almost all of our security, you're one of the most resourceful people that we have left."
Well, hopefully I won't die. And he smiles, and he kind of lifts a hand to wave, and he definitely starts moving, thinking the sooner he gets done with this, the better.
Okay. They throw some controls. The vault door slides to the side, and there's a corridor, a darkened corridor in front of you.
He lifts his gun almost in preparation as if he expects something to be there, even if there won't be, and continues walking straight ahead. Every little noise is making him jump. He's never in his life been through anything like this.
Okay. You're walking down the hall, and the door closes behind you, and about another 20 feet away, you come to rungs set into the side of or set into the end of the hallway, set into the concrete, which lead up through a circular passage.
Gonna start climbing.
Okay. You climb for a while. Go ahead and give me a roll. We're going to want a endurance and athletics check. We need one success.
Awesome. Let's...
Okay, so that was a 4.
Four.
So that was successful. It takes you a while to climb all the way up there, but eventually you come to an area that's enclosed. There's a door off to your right, and this area is about 12 by 12. Looks like it's made of sandstone. And looking up, you see a ladder. About halfway up, there's a platform, and then the ladder continues.
I'm going to start by going up to that first platform and then listening and seeing if they're nearby still, or if it's still safe to go up.
Okay. Go ahead and give me another roll identical to the last one.
Perfect. And that's another 4.
Okay, perfect. Okay, you're climbing for a while. Then you pause when you get to the platform. You can't really tell anything from here. All you know is that looking up, there's looks like a square cut out of the ceiling, and the ladder continues up through there.
I'm going to keep going.
Okay, give me one more roll.
Perfect. It's and that is a 4 as well.
Wow. Okay, actually, you should be rolling these twice, 2d20 instead of 1d20.
Huh, that's interesting.
They're all successes, so you don't need to worry about whether or not you succeeded. but when you roll 2d20, it not only doubles your chances of success, but it also gives you the chance of getting an action point. So next time you do it, just do a 2d20, and then you have to read the die individually instead of the result.
Perfect.
Okay.
Good.
All right. So you're climbing, you're finally up there, and you are now, you get to a platform. There are, basically holes cut out of the thing, and then there's a ceiling up above you. And so you can actually see out into the city, and it's pretty much in ruins. There's also, in a spot that is protected from the weather, a control panel.
Is there any writing on that control panel? Or is it, for the most part, nondescript?
It looks like it's divided up between clock controls, and the other control is it just says lock.
Okay. Well, do I trust myself with just pressing lock? Surely is tempting. I think for now, Rambo is going to once again try to see if he could figure out where those raiders went.
Okay. From where you're at, you can still see a little bit of movement off in the distance. But from where you're at, you're guessing it's already a good mile and a half away.
Okay.
But it looks like people, and they're headed through the ruins to the east.
Rambo sighs and says, "God damn it," and pretty much starts to follow suit.
Also, well, keep in mind you're 95 feet above ground.
Yes.
Also, you see a couple of guys that are approaching the clock tower. One looks like he may be wearing looks like samurai armor that may have been made out of junk. You're not sure. And the other person, you can't really tell much about him. But they are making their way to the bridge onto the island.
Does it look like they're going to try to come up here?
You can't tell. You don't know. All you know is all you know is they're getting closer to your position.
Okay. Is there anywhere around me where I can hide? This is like Rambo's go-to.
Well, where you're at is probably a pretty good hiding spot.
Okay.
Back down toward the base of the clock tower is probably even better.
I'm going to try to ease down to the base of the clock tower.
Okay. All right. You climb down with much less effort than it took to get up there. And you wait. Okay. You two guys are on the outside. And doesn't look like there's a whole lot going on right now. Whoever caused all that smoke has clearly taken off.
Okay. Just looking around, there doesn't seem to be anybody around, right? There's no bodies or signs of a battle from the outside, or
nothing clear. Although you do kind of, the smell of smoke is still kind of hanging in the air, and
and I probably know what gunpowder smells like at this point.
You know what gunpowder smells like,
right?
You also know kind of what the scent of human carnage smells like, and you smell a little bit of that too.
You hungry? Don't have that perk. Okay, so I guess the only thing for us to do, unless Mossette has any ideas, I'm gonna just make another perception check and kind of scout around. I'm looking for signs of what the heck happened here. There's smoke, there's a tower, but there's no bodies, but clearly something happened.
Before we do that, we are going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break. Go ahead and relieve
Thank
yourselves,
God.
get something to drink, whatever, and mics will still be hot. Feel free to talk to the people in chat. How many people do we actually have in chat right now? Can we tell?
It's probably about. I have no clue. I'm also Twitch newbie.
Well,
Looks like we 4 people in chat, excluding myself.
4 people in chat. All right. When we get back from break, we have a giveaway to do.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
So, we will be right back. Alright, Capricious Nature, I got your message. I'm not exactly sure how to go about doing that. I think working on the chat side of things is something I'm going to have to figure out between now and the next stream. But anyway, I appreciate the heads up.
You're bringing out the hall.
Few things to share. Like 10% of maybe less than, but
The only guy I have readily available is my Mothman.
I've got him. He's cool. Yeah, he's neat. I think yours might be a little bigger and more detailed though. Like I got one through Fallout like subscription box, and that's where a lot of the stuff comes from, of course. Got my little power armor figure. I've got a full collection of these. I think there's like 16 or so of these guys with different patterns and sets. They're little action figures that I've yet to open. Probably will not. Tasty sugar bombs.
Excellent.
I've got 3 of these, but I brought 2 of them up. One is a Nuka-Cola Rocket Girl, but then I've got the Power Armor and the Vault Dweller chick with the little detailed.
I have my buff out too.
Desert Angel 28.
Oh, cool.
Desert Angel 28.
That's amazing.
You are absolutely welcome to use the map I made. Feel free to add to it. In fact, I've got some graphics that might be helpful if you want to do something like that. Contact me and let me know. I pretty much used Photoshop and Google Maps to generate what you see there.
Mothman's really bugging me out with those red eyes. He's giving me a stink eye hard.
Yeah. Sweet child.
Yeah, my basement was covered with like flags and t-shirts hung up on the wall. I had like 16 different shirts, like 5 or 6 different flags, like the New California Republic flag, and like 2 different chessboards.
Cool.
Dozens and dozens of statues and figures, the helmet. I love the buff out. That's cool.
Thank you.
I've got Nuka-Cola bottles, just everything. You've got a little collection going. Now, is that like an Etsy piece, or did you buy like the buff out, or did you make that, or?
I bought this from an anime convention that I went to ages ago. I got a Pip-Boy at the same convention, and they were like $3. It was awesome.
That's pretty good. I mean, it's great. It looks like straight up. It looks legit.
They got all the weathering down too. Doubt that these are good, but I'm not going to be the one that tries them.
Yeah.
So I think I made a slight error when I was setting up my Twitch studio today, and we can correct this next time we do it. But basically, I maximize Discord. I have 2 monitors, but 2 monitors is not enough for all the programs I have going right now. So I have to periodically move Discord around, and the only way to keep you guys on the screen right is to keep it maximized. And so that's part of the reason I think we're running into the freezes, and I think it's also anyway. Bottom line is that next time I think I'll leave it windowed, and that hopefully will fix it.
You know 1,000,000 times more than I do about it. I just thinking about it gives me anxiety. Like
it's either that, or I need a much larger monitor, or another monitor.
I can put you in touch with. I have a good friend that streams like weekly. He does anime reviews, and he's starting to do games and game sessions, and he might be able to help you work out bugs as you come across them if you'd like. Really nice guy, really super friendly dude.
Excuse me. Swallowed the old Nuka-Cola wrong. Pop out for the video and leaving it maximized. Okay, cool. Keep that in mind next time. I have a feeling if I did that right now, it would probably screw up our main screen, so I'm not going to do that. But we'll try that next time. Yeah, yeah, I noticed that it was freezing when I minimized, so I will definitely try to keep it from being minimized between now and the end of the stream. Okay, looks like we're all back, so we are going to go back. We're going to go back to our main screen. And there we are.
Good.
Okay, so as I mentioned before the break, I've got a giveaway to do. What I'm giving away is a PDF copy of Nuclear Sunset Pacific Northwest, which is a supplement that I wrote released about 5 years ago through Vigilance Press. James Dawsey of Vigilance has signed on to this, and he's completely in favor of it. So what I want you to do is, if you're in chat, input a number between 1 and 100. Waiting for numbers. Anytime now. Here we go.
Apparently, they didn't get the memo. The break is over.
I'm not sure how many people we actually have watching us right now.
We have
Fortune favors the few, man.
5 people in right now,
Wow.
Hey,
Yes.
Is that including you or not?
excluding me.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll give them a little bit of time for last couple.
There's more of them. More of them than there are of us.
Uh-oh. We're outnumbered.
Yeah.
Time to give it in.
What the heck? The house is falling apart around me.
We have 2 bots and an inactive. So it looks like we're probably not going to get any more numbers. All right. Who would like to be the person to hit the D100 in Roll20?
I'll do it.
All right.
I'll be the boy. Let's do that. 81.
81. Looks like RC Walker Nexus is going to be the person who is closest to that. You've just won a PDF copy of New. Okay, so you.
Yeah. Let's see what I can think of what might have occurred here. Smash in the air, and I've seen them march off, but I don't know. Clearly, somebody didn't march off. If I'm smelling, dead bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see if there's nothing obvious, I want to look a little deeper and see maybe
Okay,
what
so
there is to find out.
I'm gonna say this. You don't need to make a roll on this one, actually.
Oh, okay, cool.
Just kind of tell me what it is you're looking for.
I'm trying to listen for any sounds, see if there's any footprints coming in and out of anything, if there's a trap door or a bit of wall that might be standing where obviously there's not a camp here. So I guess what I'm getting at is that there's got to be something hidden, and I'm trying to figure out
Well,
where that is. I mean, when you see smoke and people marching away, usually you expect to find dead bodies and structures and tents and stuff trampled, and we're not seeing any of that. So something
Right.
happened here.
Right. The only thing I can really tell you is that as you're kind of sitting here, kind of looking around,
Mm-hmm.
near the clock tower, you hear the definite sound of a click.
Okay. Is there a door to said clock tower?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to try to breach the door as cautiously as possible. Maybe try to get Mossette involved. Like, hey, cover me.
Sounds good.
Okay. And I'm going to try the door and see if it gives. And if it does, I'm going to very quickly kind of shoulder it open and draw a weapon.
Okay, so the door has no locks. It's just a big
Okay.
handle set into the side of it.
Okay.
You don't need to make any special checks to pull it open.
Okay.
It just comes open.
Okay. I don't know if that's good or bad. Probably good.
Rambo, where exactly are you at?
I have made my way towards that base entrance of the tower because I'm trying to find a good place to hide. So I'm probably actually literally a few feet away from you once you open that door.
Okay, you open the door.
Eye to eye, both of us pee ourselves.
You see a guy in a vault suit with the number 2 on it. Standing there.
Beautiful. Okay. He doesn't look threatening though. Does he look like he's more scared than I am?
He looks like he's about to piss his pants. Looks
Okay.
terrible.
I kind of weapon. I've still got my finger ready, but weapon down. I'm like, are you okay? What happened here?
We were raided. And then he kind of gestures back to the clock tower. I'm from, and then he points to the numbers on his vault suit. I'm a vault sent back out here to try to fix what was lost. They took our reactor. They took our cord. I don't have any skill, but everybody else is dead. At least anybody else who is equally as trained or sufficient as me. Who are you? He almost immediately looks at your regalia and looks completely confused.
Like pieces of tire and scrap metal and crap all hammered together. It looks. I imagine that he would care enough about it to make it presentable. He takes care of it. Not that he's got any skill in armor smithing or anything, but I mean, he takes care of it. But it's definitely made of it's haphazard in its materials. So he's like, I am Miyamoto. This is my friend Mossette. We're here to help in any way we can.
You're here to help. In his head, he's excellent. Absolutely.
I'm like, that's what I do. The Rangers.
The Rangers.
That's what we do.
Mind you, I'm completely unfamiliar with whatever outside.
He looks confused. I'm like, we bring law to the wilderness that is humanity in this current age.
Do you do it for free?
Yes. Of course, any donations are welcome. He kind of smiles.
Rambo looks at his empty pocket and kind of nods his head. Well, I need some good deed. Would you mind helping me out, you and your friend? He kind of peeks his head around, a little bit confused. Okay. Yes. Regardless of whether or not you say yes, I'm taking you with me. And we are going to find the door, and I'm not going to die.
Did you get an idea of how many of them there were and maybe what kind of armaments they have?
Well, one of them was wearing a suit of armor I don't think I've ever seen before. Maybe only
I saw that as well. Power armor, perhaps.
Definitely.
This may be more than we can handle.
Going to have to handle it.
How many other survivors are there in this vault?
I'm not sure.
I might be able to help you out a little bit. There were close to 1,000 to start with. You lost a good number there, but you think you probably have about at least 800 people who are still hanging on.
He looks back again. I'd say 800, give or take. Maybe some injured.
What kind of weapons, armor, and other resources that we might be able to use do you think that they have? We can't go after these guys as we are, clearly.
He laughs again.
I don't like that.
I don't know what you're expecting from us. We never even anticipated the idea of being sieged. We're supposed to be held under lock. Everything was supposed to be fine. I have a pistol.
Yeah, I see that, which makes me think that maybe there might be more armaments below.
Maybe a few. I suppose I could introduce you to our overseer. He feels kind of iffy about this, considering they were just raided.
Yeah.
Apprehensive.
Forgot to mention, the overseer pretty much said, "We're not opening the door until you come back with the reactor."
Though I would say your chances of getting back inside are fairly low. I'm on a suicide mission.
Yeah. He says time is of the essence anyhow. Damn. Perhaps we can try a more tactical approach, something a little more stealthy.
Or we could get some.
Can I... Me and my freaking perception test. I don't even think I have that. I have survival. I don't even have, like... Anyway, I want to see if I can tell how by the stride, maybe how fast these guys are moving, to get an idea as to like how fast we need to be moving to not lose track of them. I mean, the wasteland is huge. So do we need to take a more direct approach, or do we have time to go and like scrounge for stuff? He's trying to get that kind of an idea by...
Well, the biggest problem you're going to run into is that they are clearly moving pretty quickly away from here.
Yeah. And there's a few of them anyway, so...
There's definitely a good number of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How close is... I mean, if I am working for the Rangers, then I would have contact with the Rangers, clearly, right? So how close is the nearest Ranger outpost? Like, is it something that we could potentially run into on route, or maybe with a slight detour, or is it like the other direction kind of a deal?
The closest outpost is going to be Lake City.
Okay, where's that?
Lake City is what used to be Coeur d'Alene.
It's a ways.
It's a ways, but it's actually, before the war, was like connected to Spokane via urban sprawl.
But through the wastes, crawling over rubble and through like broken city streets, though, it's going to put us off. These guys are moving quickly, so. Mossette, what do you think?
Well, I'm game to go to Lake City.
Whatever we do, it has to be quick, and I'll get you paid whatever you need. But we need to get going. We need to do this now.
I should have actually mentioned this earlier. It was in my notes. One of the things that that he sent you with was a cash box that contains in $100 bills $100,000 of pre-war money.
I'm gonna slip that open, but I'm gonna see if I can only show about half of the amount to them. Keep some in my pocket.
So what is the I maybe I would know. What is the equivalent like rate of capped to pre-war money?
It's not good.
So seeing a big old fat stack like that of pre-war money is not going to light eyes up. It's just like, what's that? We could maybe use that for kindling, fire starter.
Well, better.
I smile at him and I kind of like close the lid with my hand, and I was like, I guess we go to Lake City. We're not going to tackle that power armor by ourselves. I want to see if we can get even the smallest amount of help.
Rambo looks a little bit sad, but he nods his head.
We can't do any good if we're dead. You understand?
Oh, I understand. I understand fully.
These people are Well, they're not human. They're more animal. They're monsters. I've seen things.
Yeah.
And he like puts his hand on your shoulder to try to comfort. He thinks that he sees you as like this green, like out of the vault. He like puts his hand on your shoulder. He's like, it's going to be okay. And he starts like heading off towards Lake City.
All right. Before you get too far, you're walking. There's a number of paths and stuff in this island. You hear from about 50 feet away. Here's somebody going, hey, smooth skin, you. Yeah, you.
Rambo points at himself.
Yeah. Are you hungry? You look over and you see, you look over in his direction through some trees, and you see what looks like made out of corrugated metal, a little stand. And you see a figure in there who is the height of a man, but does not look like a man. His skin is like sagging, and he looks incredibly unhealthy. Like he might not even be alive. Possibly undead, you don't know. But he's looking at you, and he seems very interested in you. He's like, yeah.
Rambo.
Yep. Are you hungry?
Back. He obviously, like, there's an elephant in the room with this. Yes. No. Yes. Yes.
I got possum on a stick.
Okay.
It's barbecued.
For me.
Sure.
I don't... He kind of looks at the pre-war money
and
and...
you have it for 5 caps.
Five caps. He looks to his new friends.
I have, I think, 30 caps. I'll hand it to the guy. Get this kid some food.
Thank you.
He just quietly like counts it out.
He goes, yeah, we don't really see too many smooth skins in this area. Hardly at all.
Smooth skins, is that what you call my kind?
Yeah. All 3 of you, actually. Really
Our kind.
Weird day. There's that group who came in earlier, too.
Group.
Who's the group?
You saw them.
Oh, we bunch of raiders and the power.
How heavily armed were they? Aside from the power armor, how heavily armed did they appear? And I like start counting out 5 more, and I put the 5 more in my hand. I'm kind of shaking them in front of him. I'm like, were there many?
There's about 35 of them, give or take.
Shit.
And,
he puts the money on the counter. He says, go on.
Heavily armed, lots of guns.
Do you know where they might have been headed? He starts counting out 5 more.
All I know is I saw them come from the east. Now they're headed back to the east. That's all I can tell you. I've never seen them before.
Okay. Thank you for your help. He puts the other 5 down. That's 15 out of my 30. And you guys...
He looks at Rambo and says, so you got some good chems right now? Or, I mean, your hair is going to start falling out pretty soon, or might even get ghoulified.
What? Ghoulified? What? No, I was just sent out here with what I have now, but, what?
This place is very radioactive.
Yes, absolutely, but I didn't assume that my hair would fall out. He looks at his companions and sees that they're definitely both in hazmat suits, and realizes that he has something missing. Where can I get those?
You don't have any extras on you.
We need to get you out of here fast. We'll get you to Lake City. They'll have medicine to treat you. We may have extra suits there. But we've got to get you out of the city.
Basically, the Radiated Zone ends at Otis Orchard's East Farms, or at least what used to be Otis Orchard's East Farms, which is about 20 miles away. and
Oof.
you will take approximately 2 radiation damage per hour that you remain here.
Well, then let's haul ass.
Now,
Yeah.
This is the Ball Dweller.
now walking along the Spokane River would be an option, but Phil kindly informs you, you know, you go that way, you're gonna run into a ton of Mirelurks. I wouldn't do it if I were you.
Yeah. I knew it. We're better off making our way through the ruins. We've got cover, and
I mean, you're gonna meet some ferals
Easier to
along
hide.
the way, but it won't be like trying to make it through those Mirelurks.
thank you, friend. We got to be on our way.
All right, he hands you the
Here we
possum.
go.
He hands you the possum on a stick.
Rambo takes it.
What's that?
Rambo takes it and definitely stares at it for a while before even trying it.
It's certainly
It's
mystery
good.
meat.
It's pretty okay.
Okay, so you guys are walking off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Indeed.
You make your way back to the bridge. You're walking along. You've still got the possum on a stick. Would you like to try a bite?
Yes.
Okay. You take 1 radiation damage. Otherwise, it's very tasty.
This is surprisingly very tasty in spite of the horrible pain in my stomach.
There are worse things to eat out here.
There are.
I mean, and if you're not going to finish it, Mossette and I are more than happy to take it off your hands.
He definitely passes on the rest.
All right, so I would like to point out something here real quick, which is you got about 20 miles you got to go. You're doing it on foot. The average person can walk about 4 miles an hour. So you'd be looking
5 hours.
You'd be looking at 5 hours on foot.
5 to 6, probably.
And that's assuming that road conditions
Yeah.
are ideal, which you know they're not.
And no delays from attacks or other things. So like 6 hours probably or more.
Rubble, collapsed buildings, etc., etc. Yeah. So at best, Rambo's looking at taking about 10 points of radiation damage before he can possibly get out of there, which I believe is pretty close to what your health is. Is that correct?
Yep, health is 12.
Oof, it's going to be a close call. Oh, and you've already taken 1 from eating the...
That damn possum.
Shit. I do have a dose of Radaway with me. I do have 1 dose of Radaway, it says, in my
Now,
equipment.
How many points of radiation damage does the Radaway take away? And is it diluted or is it full strength?
It didn't say it was diluted, so I imagine it just said 1 dose of Radaway. Let me look and see what that does real quick. I got my book downstairs with me.
Ooh, you've got an actual book?
I've got 2. This one can go in the garbage.
Yeah.
now that this one's out, I'm sure I'll use it at some point for something. But okay, let me look at the...
See, this is until I get my book. This is what I'm working with. Printouts.
That pack.
I cannot do PDFs. I don't know if it's my eyes or what. I hate PDFs so much. And
I love PDFs, but not when I'm running the game.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it under... I'm looking under to see if there's drugs, because I don't see it under... If you look up...
It's under consumables, I remember that.
Okay, that might be... It's definitely not under, like, that. You got, like, rad resistance and stuff, but consumables, chems, 164 to 170. Okay. Radaway heals 4 radiation damage, instant. It's not addictive. Yep. Yep, just deals 4 radiation damage instantly.
I'll take it.
So I hand that to you and I say, hold on to this until it gets bad. You'll need it.
Might not be a bad idea to scavenge around for some more, too.
Absolutely.
Mossette's our scavenger dude, isn't he? He likes to go out into the ruins and find stuff.
Well, I might be able to recognize the right kind of building.
Maybe a drugstore or something on the way through. Yeah, be looking for signs that have this logo, the caduceus.
Oh, by the way, once you've like emerged and you can like look around at the city a little bit, you notice some billboards of interest. You notice a Red Rocket billboard, obviously referring to the Red Rocket gas stations that were all throughout the country. You notice a billboard with the Nuka-Cola girl. You also see on opposite sides of a street, on one side it's a billboard that says Grognak the Barbarian. On the other side of the street, it's another character with a lot of muscles and long hair. It says, the logo on it says, Rathorn Savage Tales.
Hmm.
Rambo kind of stares up at them a little bit in awe. I think he's heard stories and I think he's definitely read issues, but he's never seen anything like a billboard posted up. And that kind of takes him for a moment.
The billboards aren't in great shape, but you can still definitely make out what they were.
Nothing with one of those, what are they, mortar and pestle, they call them? The little crush up the herbs.
No, unfortunately, nothing like that. You're in the downtown area right now, which it used to be a lot of restaurants and shops and things like that. Obviously, today it's nothing but wreckage. Beyond that, you actually see the Red Rocket sign poking up above a building in the distance. You also see a number of restaurant chain signs in the distance. One of which says Richards in bright colored letters. If you've ever been to Spokane, you know that's a play on Dick's.
That's what I was thinking.
Somebody got it.
I've heard the burgers are amazing, but every time I've driven by, like in Seattle, that branch, it could be 2 a.m. There's a line like 3 blocks long. Never had a bag of Dicks.
Yeah. Buy them by the bagful, you know. Well, you know, don't you spell drugstore with CVS or Walgreens? Those would be the other things to look for.
Yeah, you're like, we're looking for these 3 symbols, C, V, and S, for those of you that can't read.
CVS.
All right. Go ahead and give me a roll. Give me a perception, survival check. But you're going to need 3 successes.
I've got a 9. Has anybody got better odds than that?
For perception, you're better than me.
Perception plus survival. I've got a 6 perception and 3 survival, so if anybody can do better than that.
I got a 7. Rambo's so horribly unskilled when it comes to anything outside of science.
Yeah. Yeah, you beat me.
Got a bunch of nerds with me. All right. Well,
Exactly.
I'm sure we'll find something for you guys to do.
Indeed.
No, he just quietly is just looking around while he's always looking around anyway, which explains, his survival instinct. So, yeah, I'll make the roll.
Okay, now keep in mind.
I need 3 successes. So how do I get 3 dice? Because I'm not familiar with the mechanics of 2d20.
2 ways of going about this.
Okay.
number one, you can use one of the action. Well, you've only got one so far. You can use an action point, and that'll give you an extra dice.
Okay.
Or you can, or I should say, you can get some assistance from one of your cohorts.
What about luck?
Basically, they would have to make the roll, and that would add to whatever successes you get. Luck might be an option, but I need to look at it real quick.
So, do you guys mind if I use the action point to get 3 dice? And if we're allowed to stack a 4th one, I've already had Mossette looking for signs, right? So he could roll as if he was helping me kind of keep an eye open.
I think
I think using the action here is a good idea. Yeah.
You think it is or isn't?
I think it is. Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So I've got 3 dice, and I'm gonna go ahead and roll, Darren.
Okay, so
I'm gonna wait.
You're not interested in using the luck?
No, we'll use the action point.
Okay. Now keep in mind, 3 dice. All 3.
I need 3 successes.
All 3 need to be 9 or lower, or you're out of luck.
Okay. Well, if we're gonna use the action point, can we get a 4th dice by having Mossette roll one of them to help me?
Yes.
Assist. Let's do that then.
Okay.
Am I pronouncing it right, or am I continuing pronouncing it wrong, Mossette?
You're doing right. That's how I say it.
Okay. All right.
So
I'm gonna go ahead and roll mine then, and then we need Mossette to roll a perception plus survival as well, and we're looking for 3 of those 4 dice to be successes. Mine have to be under 9. His have to be under whatever his is. Is that how that works?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and roll my 3. Come on. I cannot see what I rolled. I have no idea how that turned out.
You got a 15, which is a fail, a 7, and a 2. That'll give you.
So I got 2 successes.
That'll give you 2 successes and an action point.
Awesome. Excellent.
Okay, so we got another action.
Well, and so this is this isn't as easy as the Star Trek Adventures D20. So remind me, how do I roll a die?
Okay, so all you need to do is do a 1d20 and then hit.
Okay. Well, nope, that didn't work.
You need to actually go over to the left-hand side of the screen where it's got the die symbol.
Oh, I see it. Aha. Let's see. Just 1. Okay.
Okay, that's a fail.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Shoot.
Okay, so that is a failure, but you got an action point back. So you could attempt to do it again, or you could give up on the effort.
Will I try again and see if I can get 3 successes with 1 roll by spending that other action point, or should we give up? I'll let you guys call. I want to make this unanimous if we're spending action points.
I'm okay rolling again. Maybe you do it. You're having better luck than me.
It's scary odds because it's less than 50%.
I know.
Under a 9 3 times. That is.
If the odds are too high, it might be better to just keep moving.
Save the action point to deal with whatever we might be missing out by not. Yeah, we're gonna let the failure ride.
Okay. All right, then you do not have any leads on any more Radaway for the time being.
Okay.
So you are surrounded by a whole bunch of wrecked buildings. You don't see anybody around. You kind of get the feeling if you do see anybody around, they're going to be probably ghouls, super mutants, and something potentially nastier than that. Who knows? So what's your approach to movement through this region going to be? Meaning, are you going to attempt to go stealthily? Or are you just walking through, walking down the middle of the street like nobody cares? What's the plan?
Or what? He's gonna try to be as stealthy as possible.
I don't know. I mean, so to weigh the balance, it's like if we're stealthy, we have less chance of running into things. But if we don't stay on the middle of the road, it's going to slow us down a lot, and the clock is ticking on you, my friend.
Yeah.
Well,
So we need to hustle. We can't be moving through buildings. It takes way too long.
I suppose we could go straight through as long as you're confident we could fight anything off.
I'm not, but I am confident that if we go through the buildings, we're going to have one guy dead of rat poisoning.
I adore your enthusiasm.
Unless he gets
We'll be cautiously moving our way through the center of the streets.
Okay.
We're not going to be clapping our hands and singing Kumbaya while we do it, but
What? You mean I have to put away my tambourine? Damn it.
please no boombox, MC Hammer going.
Can't touch this.
Right?
All right.
Too legit.
Okay. You're walking through the streets, making your way carefully, cautiously. You notice sticking out the top of a building not too far away is the tail end of a fighter jet. Yeah, I mean, it's old. It's in pretty bad shape. But it's
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is it on a building or on the street?
Sticking out of a building. Meaning,
Oh, so crap.
meaning when the Air Force Base got nuked, that little piece just kind of flew into here and crashed.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it wasn't the whole plane. It was just a part of it that got sent flying like debris. Okay. Okay.
Rambo
To our right
Now
here, we have...
gestures towards that plane. There might be supplies in there still.
Go ahead. I'll cover you. I draw my gun, and I let him go ahead and have a look.
Do you want to actually go investigate?
Yep, we're gonna detour in there.
Okay. All right. The building is a 2-story.
Awesome.
The door is completely broken out and gone. Looking inside, it's pretty well burnt out inside. There is a stairway that's leading upstairs. You can't really tell what it used to be. Like I said, the damage from time and the nuke was pretty extensive in here. So you're not really sure what purpose this building once had. But like I said, the stairway does seem to be intact going up to the second level.
All right, I'm gonna approach the second level.
Okay.
I'm keeping my eye out for anything that might seem like useful to rummage through.
Okay, you get to the second level, and there is a definite hole in the ceiling, and there is a definite military aircraft sticking through it. One of the wings has been pretty much torn off. There's a couple of skeletons in seats, and but the cockpit is closed.
Is it locked?
Yes.
Suppose I could try to pick that lock.
What are you two doing while he's doing this?
I've got my gun drawn, and I'm just kind of keenly observing this guy, and this is his first time out of the vault. I want to, I'm watching him, just seeing how his brain is working. What's going down?
Rambo's awkwardly looking back just about every 2 seconds.
Okay.
Do you know what you're doing?
Keep in mind
sorry, I didn't
that this is an aircraft. Yes, it's a military aircraft, but they didn't really feel the need to lock people out when they were building it. They mainly just needed to make sure that it latched shut. So there is an emergency release handle on the top.
Excellent. I'm going to pull that right away.
Okay. You pull it right away. The thing opens. Like I said, there's a couple of skeletons inside. They're still in their flight suits. Yeah, that's what you see.
Well, do the flight suits gain us anything for protecting Rambo?
They're not hazmat suits. They're not designed to protect
No.
against radiation.
Do they have the helmet?
Yes.
I take the helmet off, and unless he fights me really hard, I kind of like he's my little brother. I just kind of put the helmet on his head, and I'm like, there you go.
Excellent.
Actually, sorry, I'm going to reverse that decision. I'll tell you why. I believe they actually do design them to repel a certain amount of radiation due to the fact that aircraft go pretty high and absorb a bit of solar radiation. Therefore, if you were to actually put that flight suit on, you might have some protection against the radiation. Although you
Quarter or half.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know what degree that protection might be. But it would probably be better than running around with nothing.
Plus, the vault suit makes him stick out like a sore thumb. He just looks like a victim.
I am.
Blue and yellow means bullseye.
Turn around, I'm getting changed.
Okay. All right.
Gonna-
Well, you open up the suit, you dump out the bones and debris. He seems to be the
Debris, God. Stuff kind of decayed and just sat.
I mean, it's been
then dried up and then
200 years worth, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And also going to keep an eye out. Is there like anything like a first aid box clipped up against the wall anywhere?
Yes. There
or
is,
inside the plane.
there is underneath the control console a little, looks kind of like a plain white lunchbox.
Awesome. I'm going to try to open that.
Okay. Take it. You open it. There is a bottle with some pills inside. It says Radex.
I lift it up and I show it to my new friends.
That'll help.
There's also,
Good job.
There's also some basic stuff like, gauze wrap, surgical tape, etc., etc. Random stuff that you'd find in a typical first aid kit.
Well, I'm going to shove whatever is useful into my bag.
Okay. All right. You do that. And as you're kind of getting ready to move out, you hear something.
Oh, God.
Sounds like a whisper.
Rambo freezes.
Sounds like meat. I smell meat. Then you hear, yeah, so do I.
We're in pretty close quarters, aren't we?
Yeah.
So gun goes away, out comes machete.
And I think that's where we're going to leave it for the week.
Awesome.
That's a good spot.
Or actually, I should say until 2 weeks from now. So
Yep.
That's where we're at. So thank you for everybody who showed up in chat. I honestly wasn't expecting anybody at all. So, wow. Awesome. Hopefully this
Good start.
grows and gets bigger. I don't think I need to say this, but we're not monetizing this in any way. Please, Bethesda, don't sue us for using that song at the beginning. So other than that, let's go ahead and do our outros, starting with Eric. Just kind of, who you are, who your character is, and see you next time. We'll just kind of go the group here.
Well, this is Eric, and I'm playing Regis Mossette, a laconic, pseudo scholar of the post-apocalypse.
All right, Andy.
And I'm Andy. I'm playing Rambo 2, the son of a disgraced Vault Tech chemist turned into another Vault Tech engineering chemist. And I'm excited to see how this unravels. I'm very, very stoked. Hopefully next time I'll have my Pip-Boy on my arm too. And
I am John Schmidt, and man, that was pretty fun. I like it. I play Miyamoto Lamore. Was I saying Musashi all along? It's very confusing. And he looks forward to a little sword play. So when next we meet, there will be blood.
Oh yes, there will be blood.
don't test. I have a kazoo, and I will bring it out for this Fallout campaign.
All right,
And I want to say, you guys have all played with each other before. I have not played with you all. I'm having a blast. It's nice to meet you all face to face. And
yeah, you're a good addition.
Good day.
So yeah, I'm Darren Drader, game designer. I write things. You notice that Rathorn popped up on a billboard. I actually write Rathorn fiction. You can pick it up on Amazon. You can also back it at patreon.com/Rathorn. Hi, Scarlett.
Hey, Scarlett.
So so you can actually back that if you're interested. And that's it. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and that's it. Ending the stream now.
See you, everybody.
You guys go ahead and hang on.
Well, that's
Go ahead and hang on for a little bit. And the recording too.
we got detention.